The craziest news story of the week, of the month, of the year is tariffs. Moments before we recorded this podcast, the Trump administration announced a 25% tariff on imported cars, which is unbelievably insane and incredibly damaging to the car industry. It's going to be based on final assembly, which
seemingly, I will say, this is all like literally
we're getting this information 20 minutes ago it was announced, but it looks like it's going to be based on where the car is built. Now, the crazy thing about this, I actually don't entirely think that the concept of this is insane on its face, but it goes into effect in 5 days. Now, the president, I'm not sure if he's aware, the automakers can't build a factory in the United States in 5 days. However, over the last 30 years since NAFTA and then the agreement that replaced NAFTA was signed, the automakers have made enormous investments in production based on their assumption that these agreements, which were positively signed by all parties,
including by the Trump administration,
including by the Trump administration who negotiated the successor treaty to NAFTA, would continue to stay in place. And then to just pull the rug on the auto industry is one of the craziest things. In addition, it's also crazy because I'm sitting here looking at this. The Nissan Rogue, half its parts come from Japan, but it's built in the US, no tariff. The Toyota RAV4, 75% of its parts come from the US and Canada, but it's built in Canada, tariff.
Seemingly. Again, like, I want to
So you're actually penalizing American component manufacturers.
It's all insane. I will say, so it is 3:17 p.m. Pacific time on Wednesday right now. Since his announcement less than an hour ago, GM stock is down and it keeps dropping 6.71% in aftermarket average trading after being down 3% during the day today.
It's going to be impossible to explain the effect this will have on GM.
I read GM at a random glance, but
please read our quote. That
it's a gentleman named Flavio Volpe, who's the head of Canada's Automotive Parts Manufacturing Association. This is pulled from Automotive News. Had a great quote, which it says, "China could only dream of damaging the American auto industry so quickly and so decisively as what Trump is threatening to do here again."
It's hard to really explain the negative effect that this will have on the American automobile industry, including for American auto manufacturers, even though the goal is to incentivize automakers to bring production to the States. I think if you said, hey, a tariff is going to come in 5 years, you have to start making these investments in the US, that would be one thing, and I think that would be a reasonable thing. If you're Trump and you want to be protectionist on the economy, which I think is a stance that he was elected on. Saying that you're going to do it in 5 days is
a little tough.
The cars, people don't understand. Does Trump not understand? The cars are going to be radically more expensive for consumers. I mean, this is going to just destroy.
This is a lot of cars. A lot of cars are made in the U.S., and which, to be fair, and in the future, maybe more cars will. But in the meantime, the RAV4, the best-selling car in America, 25% more expensive.
Is going to be a 25% tariff. So we'll see if they actually make it 25% more expensive.
Right. They'll defer the cost across a lot of things.
Maybe.
See where they can eat some of that cost.
Or maybe they'll just have to eat some of the cost until they think that this ends, because you have to assume that this ends soon. There's no way they can continue running a 25% tariff on some of the most popular cars in America, which in some cases are built by American companies overseas, in Mexico or in Canada.
Right.
Based on the agreement that had been put in place by the Trump administration.
I will say, so as of 2 hours ago, before this announcement, the prevailing thought was also that there were going to be large carve-outs. It's always been said that April 2nd would be the day that tariffs go into effect. It was legitimately, there were reports coming out as recently as this morning that there would be notable carve-outs for some manufacturers, especially U.S. automakers. In this announcement, it was made very clear that there's not any interest in negotiating exceptions.
Crazy.
Trump referred to them as permanent. Which I will note, but...
You know, it's interesting. The car industry, I consider the car industry to be, aside from the gun industry, to be probably the most conservative large industry in the United States.
And powerful.
It's generally anti-regulation, anti-union. I mean, they would claim they're not, but the car industry would prefer that they're not. It's you know, it's a big business. It's obviously, you know, it's anti-trial lawyer, like giant, like the car industry is really obviously anti-environmental regulation, generally, I mean, generally speaking.
Generally speaking.
Again, they wouldn't say that, but they would prefer fewer regulations. And a lot of conservatives, especially at dealerships, voted for the president. And they are some of the ones who are going to be hit the hardest from this. There's no question about that. And I wonder how that's going to go.
It's just such a... if you're a manufacturer, we talked last week about how BMW was going to guarantee prices through April or May.
BMW is screwed.
Although BMW builds a lot of cars, a lot of their best-selling cars in the U.S.
They do.
Lucky for them. And this does clarify for them that parts outside of the U.S. don't seem to be
The Tacoma's screwed.
Tacoma's absolutely screwed. But like you've made as a manufacturer, I think you have to spread out the cost you bear across the rest of your lineup. So all cars, so that a RAV4 doesn't cost more than a Highlander. I don't know where the Highlander's built, but you get the point.
Yeah, Kentucky. Right? So
you have to, that makes every car notably more expensive. Already the auto industry is not doing great in the US or in other markets. It's slowed down. Sales have slowed down. Factories are already, there's a lot of furloughs at various factories. This isn't going to make that better.
No, it's going to make it worse. I think that in time, there may be some more significant investment from automakers in the US because of this, but that's assuming the automakers assume that this continues. You have to assume the automakers think that once Trump's gone, this all ends.
Or sooner than that, because it's a trade war that can de-escalate.
The hope is sooner than that if you're in the auto industry. I am curious about our friend Elon on his effect here. Elon notoriously builds cars in the U.S., which are largely manufactured with U.S. components. The Teslas are often considered to be some of the most American cars.
Fremont, California.
You wonder if Elon's in Trump's ear saying, let's just tariff all the imports. It helps him in a financial way, and we know that he's there playing a fairly large role in government right now. I don't know if that's conspiratorial, but it seems like there might be some component of that.
A little logical. To me,
I'm still processing this because literally yesterday there was a large news story that we weren't going to include here that Honda was going to start buying hybrid components from Toyota because the hybrid components they use right now are made in Japan, and Toyota manufactures hybrid components in whatever state, I don't remember, Tennessee.
But you're saying now it doesn't matter.
But now it doesn't matter. The prevailing thought
about components.
Yesterday was that it was about components and that. And now
to not make it about components is wild. You were talking about a situation in which a car built in Mexico, I'm looking at the Chevy Blazer, assembled in Mexico, but a third of the components come from the U.S. Well, you've just hurt the component manufacturers. So even though technically, the factory's in Mexico, but what about all the Americans who build the components that go into the cars, that now that car's demand is going to plummet? I can't believe there's demand at all for the Blazer, but
that's a different story.
Is that the Blazer review or the regular Blazer?
The regular Blazer.
Oh, that's even worse.
You could go through a lot of examples like
the amount of change in a short period of time is also notable. And
by the way, this isn't just Canada and Mexico. So this is 25% on imports, which means that Euro. So that covers, I mean, you want to talk cars, the companies that are screwed high end. Porsche's done. Every car is 25% more expensive tomorrow. They don't have a U.S. built product that they can, neither does Volvo, really. Neither does, all the supercar, Rolls-Royce, et cetera. BMW barely builds anything in the States. It's just the SUVs. I guess that's
that's all of their cars sold here.
Anyway,
absolutely.
But
yikes.
Yeah.
This is a stunning, I'll call it stunning, move.
I don't think if he said it was 5 years out and it's gonna phase in, I don't think it would be that insane.
No, that would be pretty understood. It goes into effect in 5 days, and it's 25% on anything built outside of the U.S.
It's another example of using a mallet where you should be using a scalpel. I really think that there is some rationality to tariffs, especially when we're talking about reciprocal stuff. But this ain't it. And the stock market hates it, and the car industry is going to hate it, and all of those people were massive supporters of the president.
GM down 7.26%.
I think you said the point. The threat of tariffs is usually more effective than the tariff itself. It's that.
Plus, who are you threatening here? You're threatening every country?
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Well,
Japan is.
These, by the way, are on top of other ones. So if you're China, you were already at 50% tariff, 75%.
Well, China. Nobody's caring about China and cars. It's not really all that important.
I wanted to know that. It's just quite something.
When I'm filming car reviews, I get in and out of the car over and over again, filming all the close-up shots of the quirks and features. Some cars are easier to get in and out of than others, and with the variety of cars I work with, comfortable pants are a must-have. Public Rec Pants makes this a comfortable experience for my nether region. I'm thrilled to have Public Rec as a partner, and I'm so excited to try their shorts. Comfortable shorts from Public Rec will elevate my style while being comfortable, and comfort is always my top priority when buying shorts. Public Rec Pants deliver comfort for every occasion with unmatched style, whether you're heading to work, grabbing dinner with friends, going on a date night, running weekend errands, or enduring a long day of travel. Public Rec is comfortable enough for the couch, but sharp enough for the city. And for a limited time, you can get 20% off at Public Rec by using the code CARS at checkout. Just head to publicrec.com, use the code CARS, and you're all set. Oh, and when they ask how you found them, be sure to mention our show. It really helps us out. Upgrade to Public Rec and feel the difference.